10 years ago, a cup of coffee cost you a few coins. Today, the same cup costs almost double. Your paycheck probably went up too, but somehow it still feels like you can afford less than you used to. You didn't get poorer overnight. Something else happened. Something that quietly eats a little bit of every dollar you own, every single year. It's called inflation, and almost nobody can explain what it actually is beyond prices go up. So let's actually open it up. Here's the thing about inflation. Everyone experiences it, but almost nobody can explain where it actually comes from. Is it just greedy companies raising prices? Is it the government printing money? Is it your fault for spending too much? The real answer is more interesting and slightly more unsettling. Inflation isn't one thing. It's several different forces that all push in the same direction. And once you see how they work, you'll never read a headline about prices the same way again. The simplest force is demand. Imagine an island with exactly 100 coconuts and 100 coins. Each coconut costs 1 coin. Simple. Now imagine everyone's income doubles overnight. 200 coins floating around, but still only 100 coconuts. People don't need more coconuts, they just have more money to spend on the same ones. So sellers realize they can charge 2 coins instead of 1, and people still pay it because they can afford to. Nothing about the coconuts changed, only the amount of money chasing them did. That's demand pull inflation, when spending power grows faster than the actual supply of stuff to buy. The second force works from the opposite direction, cost. Imagine the price of shipping fuel spikes, or a drought wipes out half a wheat harvest, or computer chips suddenly become scarce. The businesses that rely on those things now pay more to produce whatever they sell. Bread, cars, electronics, doesn't matter what.
And a business almost never just absorbs that extra cost quietly. It passes it forward to you, the customer. This is cost push inflation. Prices rising not because people are buying more, but because making things simply got more expensive. And once a few key inputs get pricier, that cost tends to ripple through almost everything, because nearly every product depends on shipping, fuel, or some raw material somewhere down the line. The third force is the one people blame first, and it's not entirely wrong: the money supply. When a country's central bank effectively creates more money, say to fund emergency spending, there's simply more currency circulating without more stuff for it to buy. Just like the coconut island, more coins chasing the same goods pushes prices up. But here's the part almost nobody talks about: expectations. If people believe prices will keep rising, they start acting in ways that make that belief come true. Workers ask for raises to keep up. Businesses raise prices early, expecting their own costs to rise soon. Landlords bump up rent before their own bills go up. Nobody's doing anything crazy. Everyone's just protecting themselves. But when millions of people protect themselves at the same time, inflation becomes something that partly feeds on the fear of itself. And here's the twist almost nobody expects. A little bit of inflation isn't a failure. It's actually the goal. Most modern economies deliberately target a small, steady rate of inflation, usually around 2% a year. Because the alternative, prices staying completely flat or falling, sounds nice, but it actually makes people delay spending, waiting for things to get even cheaper, which can stall an entire economy. So the real question was never, how do we stop inflation completely? It's, how do we keep it slow and steady instead of fast and painful? And when it does spiral out of control, it never hurts everyone equally.
People with savings sitting in cash watch that money quietly shrink in value every year. People who own property or stocks often benefit, because those asset prices tend to rise right along with inflation. Debt, strangely, can even become easier to pay off, because you're repaying it with money that's worth less than when you borrowed it. Inflation doesn't just raise prices, it quietly moves wealth away from savers and toward people who already own things. So inflation was never one villain to catch and stop. It's demand, cost, the money supply, and millions of people's expectations, all pulling in the same direction at once. The real skill isn't avoiding it completely, it's understanding which of those forces is driving it this time, because the fix for one is completely different from the fix for another.
So next time prices jump, ask yourself, is it demand? Is it cost? Or is everyone just bracing for what they expect comes next? Tell me what you think below. If this helped it click, subscribe. Every week, Otto breaks down how the world actually works. Next time, how a single package travels across the entire planet just to reach your front door. See you then.